Welcome back to Shelter Tales. This is Connie Galley, and with me is Liz Bennett from Bandits Place. And you might recognize Liz because I just found out that she is on TV almost every weekend. And what's the TV program called?
Well, this one is Channel 3's Lost and Found.
Okay.
We've been doing that for
Lost
over
and Pound?
Lost and Found. We've been doing that for over 10 years. And before that, we did Channel 30's Best Friends for over 10 years.
I saw that on your website. And Liz also she's a busy lady. She's also the animal control officer for Southwick, Massachusetts. So she's graced us to be here today. It was quite a coup to get her here between the days she doesn't have off and the days she does have off. It's amazing how many people, we just talked about that, are in rescue work and doing good work and working full-time jobs. And so you started Bandit, and I had a cat I just told you named Bandit, my best little boy, but you found Bandit in 1982. Did you find, now you noted that the poor thing was badly abused.
She was we didn't even know what she was when I went to the pound.
And drinking out of a broken glass bowl. Yeah. I know you probably don't want to name the pound, but
no, that's okay. So I went to the New Britain Dog Pound because I looked at this ad. I had just lost an Irish setter puppy, and I was devastated. She died at 4 months old. She had an aneurysm. It was awful. So anyway, I went to the New Britain Dog Pound because they had advertised this black Irish setter. And I'm thinking, it's got to be a Gordon setter. I love Gordon setter. It's got to be a Gordon setter.
Never saw a black Irish setter, to be honest. So
apparently when they cross,
some
of them turn out black, which is, fine, but that's an aside. So I went to the dog pound, and there's this little Irish setter mix going ding, 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 across the walls.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I can't deal with this. So the big animal control officer sitting behind the desk says, go down there. I said, why? He goes, go get that dog. That'd be the best dog you ever had. I said, okay. And in the corner is this little cowering thing, about 3 months old, just shivering and ears down, and it was all black, and it smelled so bad. I said, what is it? He goes, it's the best dog you'll ever have. I said, awesome, but what is it?
But it's the best one.
Right, so at this point, my mother had gone back to the car, and I was driving a 1967 Volkswagen convertible, and it was fabulous. And so I went back out, and I said, Mom, put the top down. Now, this is April. Okay, this is April. I said, Mom, just put the top on.
Couldn't even say open the window.
Why? And I'm like, just listen to me. Just put the top. She's like, oh my God, that thing smells. She wouldn't walk out of the shelter. It took us like bath after bath after bath to find out what color she was.
Oh my God.
She had been eating. We did a testing on her poop to make sure she didn't have any worms. She had a lot of broken glass. She had been eating food out of broken containers and stuff like that. It took me days before she would even go to the bathroom. She would hide and cower. She was cross-eyed. Her ears were down. I have to tell you, she really wasn't that cute.
Like a face only a mother can love.
Exactly. All of a sudden, she became this absolutely fabulously gorgeous German Shepherd.
Is that what she was?
She was a German Shepherd, and I have to tell you, she was fabulous. I had one point, I had worked with kids who had been abused, and I was volunteering at the Children's Hospital. And when I went and volunteered at the Children's Hospital, I said, guys, it would be so cool if we could bring Bandit into the ward that I was working on. Yeah. No, animals don't belong in hospitals. We do not have these animals come in hospitals. It's not right. And now, years later, we have therapy dogs and therapy cats and therapy goats.
I have a friend that takes her cat to the nursing homes.
Sure.
And more nursing homes are signing on. There's not enough therapy cats for animals.
So the kids would come out of the hospital that could be mobile, and they would come down to the parking lot and play with Bandit. And she understood. Yeah. She completely understood. She understood kids with needs. She understood fear. And I would say to these kids, any of the kids that I work with, she could overcome so much abuse and so much neglect at such a young age. She made it. Guys, watch. She did it. You can do it. There is hope for you. Okay. And it was fabulous. So she lived for quite a long time. And when she passed, I was with her. It was horrible.
It's a family member. I don't care what anybody says. It's a family member.
I promised her. Yep, I promised her. I said, I will do whatever I can to help animals just like you. overcome the obstacles that you were given, and to get into permanent homes. And
now,
so far,
were you working at the animal control at that time?
No, I got my degree in vet nursing, and worked at the Children's Museum with wild animals, and did some vet work. I worked at an emergency vet hospital, and eventually I joined the police department as a dispatcher, and then I ended up being an animal control officer for a long time, and then and then I left, and then I ended up as an ACO up in Southwick too. So a lot of differences between Connecticut and Massachusetts laws. It's really strange, but
well,
it's cool.
There was the law in Connecticut, and I'm trying to remember, not Dexter. It was a dog that was tortured, abused, and left on the side. And I'm saying it begins with a D, I think. And it is now federal law.
Yes.
That if you hurt an animal or abuse an animal, you're going to be whacked, and not just with a fine.
It's fabulous. I was working on Connecticut Votes for Animals. If you ever want to get involved with Desmond's Law, if you ever want to get involved with legislation and make a difference, you join Connecticut Votes for Animals. When we did this, I was part of that for a very short period of time when I could, because a little busy. Yeah. But we got it passed that it is the tethering law, the tying law, all that needs to, you can't do it. And Connecticut voted that animal abuse, there were two kind of categories. One, actually, if it's intended, you take your dog, you tie him up in the back of the car, and you run.
Yeah,
you drive. Right. That's an intended abuse. Crime. Yeah. That's a felony. Neglect, like I didn't know my dog needed water 24 hours a day, or I didn't know, my goats needed shelter, kind of thing. That's, I don't want to call it a stupidity law, but it's basically stupidity. It's being uninformed. So that's more of a misdemeanor.
You're so kind.
I know. I have to be. It's awful.
Stupidity.
It is. It's a stupidity law. So you didn't intend to harm
there was
animal.
non-intention
So that's
to harm.
more of a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So the felony is when you get to real. Up in Massachusetts, you commit animal cruelty, it's a felony.
Really?
There is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Good.
It's a felony.
Good.
And it's fabulous. But anyway, I digress. So
but somebody has to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves,
trust me,
and you and other people are doing it. Now, one of the things I had noticed on the website, which was fascinating to me, because I worked in animal rescue, and I've pulled animals off those transports, and I open the transport door, and there's dogs on one side barking and so happy to see you after a long ride, and then there's the cats in the cages on the other side going, oh, shut those dogs up. Oh God, where am I? And I'm taking the cats out because I work with a cat shelter. The dogs just want to be petted. The cats want to die.
Exactly.
And you say you pull shelters from across the USA. First of all, it's an expensive proposition. It's an expensive to move animals.
Honestly, if you have the right resources, it's not that bad.
So you would go to shelters with a high kill shelter, would it be?
Yes. I have an office down in Virginia. I say an office. I have a friend of mine down in Virginia who wanted to do fundraising for us. Well, it turned out she had to register as a nonprofit down there. I said, okay, fine. So we got her registered as a nonprofit, so now I have a Virginia office.
There you go.
But she's my intake coordinator. And she goes around to the East Coast, and she finds, and there's enough over there, animals that need care, whatever. And I also have a friend, Flying Mutts Rescue. His name is Mike Malaro, and he is absolutely the most fantastic man I have ever met.
He's local?
He's, kind of. He flies them. He has this little twin engine thing, and he flies them up, and they can do back-to-back flying on the way up, or we had a transport group who would do different legs. Okay, so you drive from, say, Richmond to Baltimore, and then somebody else picks them up, and they go up that way. That's an all-volunteer network. There are also Peterson Transport is Pets LLC. They are fabulous. I followed them, and I've been friends with them for many, many years. They will bring up, like you said, they come up in the big, they used to do it in the back of the pickup truck. They used to do it with a horse trailer, and now they've, gotten this big trailer and stuff that they've converted over to this transport thing. But they come in. So it can range from free to I've got to pay for the airplane's gas to higher end transports, but there's all different ways.
You think about all these trucks on the road, they're backhauling, so they come up full and they're going to backhaul empty.
Yep.
Is Peterson do something like that? That's just they're a transport company?
Do.
Or
Yes,
is
they're a
this
transport.
A whole separate thing for them?
It's Peters. It's Pets, Pets LLC. It's a transport. It's an animal transport.
Okay.
So they deal with dogs and cats from different shelters and stuff like that. But
you also said that you get referral. You do referral services for people
Yes.
who cannot keep, whether it's they're moving, whether they got ill, whether the mom died. So you were referring them. Are you referring them to area shelters, area no-kill shelters?
No. What we do is occasionally we will get a request. My husband passed and we have this dog and I can't deal with it, I can't take care of it, or my kids moved out and I can't deal with it, we're losing our home kind of thing. And I'll say, okay, fine. So what Bandits Place will do is we'll post the pet, we'll take the applications, we'll screen the people and make sure, and then we'll say to them, okay, this is a list of people who have passed my criteria. Now you get in touch with them and see how you feel about them, and then you guys do this between the two of you.
Right.
We don't charge for that because we don't feel like if we don't take the dog in physically.
Right, you're not handling,
do
you work with cats too? I mean, I know.
No, and the reason being, my cats will pee all over everything if they smell a cat on me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They have vindictive cats. They can't tell me that they're not vindictive.
That hates everybody,
they
including
will go
me.
after it. They will do it. No.
I have a friend who's suffering with that right now, and it's actually the cat walked through the backyard over here in Windsor. Another cat walked through the backyard, and August looked out and went, oh, no.
Watch this.
And watch this. So cats are a little more high-strung, shall we say, than they're being kind, high-strung.
But we've also gotten into farm animals, too.
I saw that farm animals and wildlife rehabbing.
Yep. Okay, so now I got my license way back when I first started in vet nursing. I did wildlife rehab because at that point you didn't need a license. And then all kinds of very, very strange things started happening, and the state said, okay, look, we need to get people licensed to do this. We need to train them instead of having them go, do whatever they want. No. Anyway, so I ended up getting my my license for rehab a few years back, and I said, you know what? I live on a farm. I'm going to do deer. So I'm one of three or four at this point, rehabbers in the state of Connecticut that do fawn.
So if mom leaves or... Now, I want to ask you, I want to question you about that because I've been reading a lot, and I don't have anything to do with wildlife except say, isn't that nice? Isn't that pretty out there? Don't bite me. I touch everything. But they say like rabbits, like a mother rabbit will leave the kits or whatever they call them there and go looking for food. You're not supposed to touch them unless you see them there for, a day or two. And then the same way with fawns, because how do you know a fawn's not just resting, waiting for mom to come back?
Basically, all right, so this is what I tell people in the fawn world. Moms have the babies May and June. What they do is, and this is amazing, they deliver the baby and they leave. They clean it off, make sure everything's nice and dry, and they leave. The reason being, the fawns are born without smell. Their poop doesn't smell, their pee doesn't smell, they do not smell.
So they don't become prey.
Mom plops them down. Now, I have 2 daughters. So mom plops them down, and I told you that in a second. She plops them down in a specific spot, and she says, sit, stay, I'll be back. She will go off and graze. But the closer she gets to her fawn, see, predators can smell mom.
Right.
So if she's there,
they're going to come looking, and fawn isn't as able to get up.
The fawn does not start running until about a month old. It really cannot get up and take off until about a month old.
So it really is prey.
So they really, yes, it's sitting ducks. So now, sometimes, and this is where I bring my kids in, my first daughter, fabulous. I could sit her in front of the TV, come back a week later, and she would still be there watching the TV. Okay, mom told me to sit here. I'm just going to hang. Okay. My other daughter, Miss Emily, God love this child. I could sit her down and say, I'm going to the kitchen. I'll be right back. Turn around, and she's out the door. I'm like, oh, so fawns are the same way. Moms will say, and this is, I've had people call and say, I saw this mother fawn beating her child. I said, no, she's trying to get him to shut up and sit down. I said, basically, she's trying to get him, no, she's trying to get him to stop and stay there.
And be they're not all, the little
fawns are a little sparky there. So we get the ones that have been kidnapped because people see them and they go, oh, Bambi, I've got to take this, and you're like, no, put it back. And then we get the ones that the parents have been hit by a car. Obvious mother's obviously dead.
Right.
There's the fawn, there's the mom. Moms can hear their children about a third of a mile away.
Wow.
And if you start messing with that child,
They're going to come back.
oh, they're going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
I've had them come back and like charge you,
Yeah.
and they make noise, and I never knew an adult deer could make noise, but
No, I
trust
didn't
me,
either.
holy cow, they come back with a vengeance. You don't mess with the mother's baby, boy. I'll tell you what.
Well, it's every kingdom. Anybody in the mammal kingdom, you know, we're all
Exactly.
very.
So what we ask
cautious.
people to do is call your animal control officer. I did a session last year with the Animal Control Officers Association. In the meeting, I did about an hour's worth of talk of what do you do if you find something, how do you transport it, everything like that, and just so your animal control officers really do know how to deal with this, and they know how to come on the scene and say, okay, that one's orphaned, that one's not. Technically, we say leave it for 24 hours. If you come back in 24
still
hours
there.
and it's still there might be an issue.
Right,
Even if
okay.
it gets up and follows you, it's like these juvenile. Okay, so it's like
It
these juvenile
imprints?
bears. Okay, no,
Yeah.
they don't imprint. If they get up and follow you, like the juvenile bears will come over and go, "What are you? What are you?" And they like to touch you with their mouth. If you were going to be attacked by a bear, you would be attacked by a bear. You
But
would
if
be
they
attacked.
just nibble, it's
if they
kinda
come
like,
up to you and
what
go
are
like
you?
that, it's
Yeah.
like because children like to play with their mouths.
Yeah.
Juvenile bears like to play with their mouths, and fawns like to discover, what are you? They like, but what are you? And they'll come over and they'll just kind of touch you or something, or they'll follow you. And we say to people, put it back where it was, and then run like hell, and it'll eventually stop following you and go back to where it was supposed to be in the first place. So it's a whole different game, but
it's so
fabulous.
interesting. It's just
It's
so, and it's
fabulous.
interesting how you've got quite a hit resume there. But I mean, it's quite a resume: veterinarian, nurse, and wildlife rehabber, and animal control officer. But it's amazing how many people are taking the time today to learn what to do instead of going, it's an
fabulous.
animal, you know, that kind of thing.
It's fabulous.
So you don't have a facility per se. So do you have fosters? Do you?
Nope, I do have a facility.
You do have a facility,
Yep.
okay.
When we
And where would
moved
that be?
here, I designed and I built a 4-run kennel. I put in heated floors. My plumber loves me because he had to learn how to do this. Scott, I'm so sorry. But he had to learn how to do the heating in the floors, which is fabulous because it allows the heat to come up. And when you have, say, a litter of puppies, they go under the bed that is little raised beds.
Right.
And they get into that little pocket of air that's very toasty and warm.
Okay.
And it's fabulous. And for the older dogs with the bone issues and
arthritis
stuff like
and stuff like
exactly.
that, yeah.
A warm floor is much better than a cold cement floor. So yeah, we have a building with 4 runs, but again, I'm converting it all over into more of a wildlife rehabilitation center because now I'm also federally permitted to do some waterfowl, and I have my mammals and things like that. So I'm switching much more into farm animal rehab or farm animal rescue and sanctuary. I have 2 horses now that are basically in sanctuary. Versus, because now, and we were talking about this earlier, back when I started doing this, there weren't that many rescues, dog rescues. There was the Connecticut Humane Society, there was the MSPCA in Springfield, and that's basically all people knew about.
Right.
So we were able to spread the word. We have 169 towns in the state of Connecticut. Everybody has an animal control facility. Start there. Start talking to these people. And as the years went by and we started getting the word out, I got more and more aware of all these different dog rescues, cat rescues, things like that. So as of now, pretty much the beginning of 2020, we're going to concentrate more on the farm animal because that is an area that I've noted to have more
There's a dearth. I mean, I see postings all the time. I got 3 pygmy goats. Can somebody take them? I got. I'm like, now where in God's name
And
and
I've got
anywhere
a
around a
farm.
city, you
Right,
know?
and I've got a farm, so
yeah. So there
our
it goes.
first- yeah.
I'll remember you because I keep getting people from upstate New York going, I got 3 pygmy goats to help me.
I had a pig that was bought by a boy, for his fiance, and lived in Manhattan
Oh my
in an
God.
apartment. And
Wait, is this Pete Davidson?
I have no idea. He bought this little mini pig for his girlfriend, who ended up dumping him. and he ended up giving the pig to his best buddy's mom, who called me and said, I have a pig, I don't know what to do with it. So I went down and got the pig. But
sounds like an Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson situation. That's exactly what happened.
No, I tell people he came from the garment district in New York.
He has quite an accent, quite an accent. So you're going to be switching over to more rehab,
Right.
Or rather waterfowl and things like that.
Sure.
You have a pond on the property, or is
We
there?
do as we need.
Okay.
I actually hand dug this little pond. I should say little pond. It was about 15 feet wide or so. And as far as ponds go, it's kind of small. But what I did was I took the rain runoff and I built a like a runway and stuff so we could keep filling it and stuff. But
How many volunteers do you have to help you with all this stuff? I mean, you're working full time, and any kind of rehab is a full time job. You're
Sure.
working full time.
Sure.
You're rehabbing full time. You're digging ponds. You're doing kennel. I mean, do you have people that actually
Fencing.
come to that facility to help you? I hope.
we've had school groups come out. Suffield Academy, the leadership program came out for a couple of summers. They would come out for an extended period of time and they would build. We had a group out of Torrington. Oh God, I can't remember. Transition Academy out of Torrington. They would come out and they actually did my pasture fencing. So we have different groups that come out, but as far as maintenance, I have one volunteer that comes in on the weekend. Her name's Danielle Bowen, and I got to tell you, she's been with me for years. She's fabulous. She walks the dog. She plays with everybody. She takes apples for the horses. My kids help out, and I have a few people that come and go that help out. It's fabulous. But
Are you? Is it in Connecticut or the other side of the border?
no, it's in Connecticut.
It's in Connecticut. You're in West
East
Suffield?
Heartland. No, East Heartland.
East Heartland.
East
You would
Heartland,
have to be out
sure.
in the. You'd have to be out in the boonies for that.
Yes, ma'am.
You would. Well, I'm going to ask you. You have any upcoming fundraisers? You said you had somebody down in Virginia helping you with raising
Yep.
funds and marketing
Yep,
awareness. So do you have any upcoming This will air. This is November. This will air next month.
Okay.
December it'll air several times, and then you'll get a YouTube video to put up on your website.
Oh, cool.
So you'll do all that, and we'll put it on YouTube. But so you have any kind of fundraisers, or is there
We always
something?
have things going. We always have. We have a PayPal link on our site, and if we need funds for something specific, for instance, we just took in this little min pin. He needed some serious surgery, and he was 14 years old, and we brought him in for his surgery. We knew the surgery was going to have his eye taken out. He's going to have his teeth taken out. We knew going in that he may not make it, and of course he didn't make it. But now we still have the bill for
Big
the
doctor's bill,
surgery.
right,
You know, we're
right.
getting things like that. So we always look for PayPal donations.
Okay.
Down in Virginia, we've got a Great Dane that had some serious issues and needed a lot of like an MRI and ultrasounds and scans and testing and stuff, which ran. I think we have several $100s still left on that bill,
Right.
so we can always use.
Can
it.
you
And of
help?
course, with the wildlife rehab, we're putting money into it. We're not adopting the animals out.
Right, so
there
you're not
is no
getting that.
return.
Yeah, it's-
right.
there's no
right.
income, it's
Fawns
only
are-
outgo.
Right. Fawns
outgo.
are extremely
Right.
expensive to
Okay.
rehab and raise. And
Well, your
and such.
website is www.banditsplace.org.
Yes.
www.banditsplace.org. And Liz has a cute little certificate here. You want to hold it up?
Oh,
Or-
yes.
Put it right
All
in the middle
so this is
there.
for Christmas people. When we tell people that, Christmas is coming along and people go, oh, I have to get a pet. I have to get a pet because my kids are driving me crazy for a pet. Okay, chill it out for a second. What we tell people to do is make up this wonderful certificate kind of thing.
Because you don't want to adopt a pet right during the
No, you
holidays.
don't,
We're going to
because
talk about
first
that in
off-
another venue. Yeah.
There you go. It
Yeah.
makes people crazy. So you make up the certificate. It says this certificate entitles the holder to the privilege of joining the family and picking out a new friend. Certificate has no expiration date.
I think
And I put
that's
that on it
wonderful.
because you don't have a panic.
Right,
You
right.
don't have a
you don't have to
panic.
panic, and you don't bring a pet in during the holidays
Exactly.
when everybody's hoo-hawing. You don't know if you got the right
Exactly.
pet, and the little puppy pees because he's so excited.
And who knows if you really want one?
Right, and yeah, right.
And if I
guess.
tell you I love German Shepherds, you don't know that I love long-haired German Shepherds. They have to be black
Right,
or they're
right,
sable or this
right,
and that.
right.
If you just say, oh, she loves German Shepherds, let's go get her a puppy.
Right,
and I look
right.
at it and go, it's not a connection.
Yeah, right, right.
So how can I know what
Right.
will connect with you?
Yeah, right.
But how cool is it that you take the whole family and you make it a family event
Yes.
or even just a friend event, a bonding thing, and we go together.
Right.
and you
I
find
think
what
that's a great idea because
Yeah.
the holidays are coming. And
Right. So instead, you give bowls of things.
Yeah.
If your kids like lizards, you give them a lizard setup.
Right.
With a little
Doesn't
card
matter
inside.
if it's a dog or
Right. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. That I think that's a great idea.
You do
because,
that. Yes, you do that instead.
Well, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you,
Thank you.
rearranging your schedule 45 times.
Oh, stop! It wasn't
Or
that bad.
Howard, I was in there going, change it to this thing. Can you change it to that thing? Can you change it? He was very patient with me.
There you
Everybody
go.
was
Thank
very
you, Howard.
patient. Thank you, Howard.
Appreciate it.
But I appreciate you
Thank you
taking the
so
time
much.
today and
Thank
all the
you
good
so
work
much.
you're doing, Liz. I mean, it's I don't know how you're not sitting here sleeping instead of talking to me.
You just
It's-
kind of
it's-
keep going.
Coffee.
There
Coffee.
you go. Coffee.
Coffee.
Espresso.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. This is Shelter Tales with Connie Galley.